Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank our Associate Administrator Kimsey for joining us today as well. Your colleague, Associate Administrator Shimkat, joined us at our North Texas Job Fair earlier this summer, and I must say it's been great getting to know you, her, Administrator Loeffler, and seeing how you're really turning the SBA around and really starting to get it steered in the right direction again. As you know, the last 8 months have been crazy. It's full of radical change for the better. We have seen profound action to restore our government to its core function and SBA to its core function. Unfortunately, under the Biden-Harris administration, the SBA basically abandoned its core mission. They loosened underwriting standards, they waived lender fees, they turned the 7A program into a money-losing operation for the first time in over a decade. Defaults, delinquencies almost doubled. Guardrails were eroded, taxpayer dollars were wasted, and ineligible borrowers were able to access SBA-backed loans. By contrast, just 50 days into his second term, President Trump and Administration Loeffler had already restored common sense lending criteria, ended reckless DEI-based programs, and took action against politicized and unlawful debanking, which we already talked about earlier today. I'd say these reforms, combined with the tax relief that we passed and regulatory reforms that we are currently advancing, will unleash Main Street to its full potential. I am especially glad that my bill, the American Entrepreneur's First Act, passed the House earlier this year and builds on this effort by codifying President Trump's executive order and ensuring that SBA-backed loans are reserved for American citizens only, not for people who are here illegally. And I think initiatives like this are how we keep the SBA focused on serving these small business owners who are the engine of our economy. As someone who is greatly concerned about the government's increasing deficit, I want to ensure that our SBA guaranteed lending programs remain subsidy-free, as required by law. How would you describe the situation that led the 7A program to have a negative cash flow under Biden?
Thank you, Congresswoman, for that question. Certainly, again, I was, shocked that we were operating under do what you do with no guardrails in place. I mean, in all my career of banking, you have to have fundamentals, you have to have guardrails, you have to be, just fundamental underwriting, time tested to make sure programs that you don't have loan losses. And when you don't have those in places, you see what we have here. We've got defaults that are increasing. I mean, I could look back when I got here and looked at the early defaults, and it was clear prior to me getting here, the early defaults were rising. But without those guardrails being in place and the amount of volume that was going through the program, we're going to be dealing with this for the next several years, probably decades, actually, to try to manage this.
I appreciate that answer. I'm also co-chair of the Congressional Franchise Caucus, and I prioritize protecting the opportunity. Sorry about that. I said, as co-chair of the Congressional Franchise Caucus, I prioritize protecting the opportunity of franchisees. And I want to ensure that this business model remains an option for small business investors across the country. So the Biden administration's decision to arbitrarily shut down the directory created uncertainty and barriers to SBA-blocked lending for franchisors and franchisees. I am thankful that our current administration reinstated the directory in June, but do you believe that Congress should codify the franchise directory so that future administrations cannot arbitrarily shut it down?
No, thank you for that question. That was one of the #1 items that I got when I got here was the franchise directory. It's vitally important. Again, that's one of the tools that's much needed so franchisees know that it's an approved franchise by SBA, and our lenders know that. So it's a vital tool, and we certainly look forward to working with you on that.
Getting back to the question, though, do you think that Congress should actually work to codify that?
I will leave that up to you in this committee.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
In 2023, the SBA finalized a rule that allowed for do what you do underwriting standards. In doing so, lenders could then apply existing underwriting practices used for non-SBA loans to SBA guaranteed loans. Could you describe how damaging that was to the Capital Access Program and how the SBA's policy has changed since then?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Certainly being able to shift the risk to the SBA is not good. And again, that just created additional risk for us. And again, you just see that from the defaults we're seeing in the early defaults. Our default rate's up, and as I said, we're going to continue to have to manage that. That's the really